If it wasn't a lad's holiday when I was 18, I would still be skinny fat, have small arms, a pot belly, and lack a ton of self-confidence. I didn't look like I trained, even though I was going 3-4 times a week. I had zero confidence with my top off, and I was stuck in a trap of not knowing what my next move was to build my confidence and to get in better shape. And so today I'm gonna walk you through exactly what I did to go from skinny fat to jacked. And by the end of this video, you should know exactly what to do to break that loop of always being skinny fat and wondering whether you should bulk or cut, and the exact methods that we use with current clients to help them do it exactly the same. See, the thing with the skinny fat trap is that you don't know what your next move should be. You've got a small arm, a little pot belly, and you just don't feel like the t-shirts in the way that you want with no confidence. You have no shape to your frame. And this can be really frustrating if you're training consistently, thinking that you're progressing, yet you can't see any physical changes ever happen with all the efforts that you put in. And this leaves you incredibly frustrated with how you're feeling. You're stuck in the middle, you're not lean enough, you're not big enough, and leaves you with even less confidence. So when I was on holiday with the boys, we were there with a group of girls that we met whilst we were there. And they rated us out of each other, who was the hottest and who was the least attractive. And it absolutely broke my confidence that I was put last on the list. It was a really weird feeling at first, because there I was, I felt quite confident, but I knew I was still faking it a little bit, making jokes, being outlandish, but that was the nail in the coffin to decide to do something about how I looked. But what I can recognize looking back in that situation is I was doing random workouts, not paying attention to my nutrition, and I never really pushed hard enough to see results. And so this is what I did first. I got lean. By the time I got back throughout the summer and then moving to London, I pushed extremely hard to get in better shape. I trained consistently, tracked my food, and followed a training program that I knew would push me harder. I'm pretty sure I nicked the workout from a men's health book, which is impressive to say the least that it actually helped me and that I stuck to it. But one of the biggest things I know that I did is I wrote it down in a booklet. I'm pretty sure at that time I followed a bro split, so chest and arms, back and bis, shoulders and legs, and then another push workout because I wanted a bigger chest. And so by focusing on this diet, whilst I was working as a GT manager at a leisure centre, my activity was crazy high. I think I was averaging 15 to 20,000 steps a day. At this moment, I didn't have anything to track that activity, so I'm only guessing because I was on my feet for 7 hours out of my 8-hour shift. I know that my shifts were split into 42 hours a week, so I knew I was doing a lot of activity as well as cycling 10 minutes to the leisure centre there and back. On top of that, I was then also training for about an hour and a half. So I was doing a lot of activity at this moment. And this meant that my expenditure was a lot higher than probably the food what I was eating. But I made sure that I brought food with me. I prepped my food. I think the majority of the time I made roast dinners on a Sunday and then took that in for the next day as my lunches. Breakfast was very much the same. I think I made overnight oats as well. So protein powder, oats, some berries and some honey. And that allowed me to keep consistent with 90% of my meals. As I got more consistent, I started getting better shape. And this was the first time that I really felt confident with how I looked. Even took photos in the changing room mirrors when I had closed the leisure centre. And even then still wasn't that confident to take my clothes off in front of other people. A few years later, I then hired my first coach. This is a point where I'd already got in really good shape, but for me to extend it even more, I hired Matt. Matt was the first coach that I really resonated with, and I digested every single video that he ever put out, every single post that he made on Instagram, every single podcast he was on. Shout out Coach Pratt. And that's when things truly took a gear. That's when I trained really fucking hard because somebody else was looking over what I was doing and they had chosen the program built for me that was going to allow me to build strength into incredible shape. This is where I first saw striations through my shoulders and chest, where I saw visible abs consistently for a period of time, where my energy levels were sky high. I was playing the best cricket I ever had done in London. And I remember being at the time thinking, damn, like I'm worried what happens if I sign up? What happens if it doesn't work? And ultimately, this is be the thoughts that you have too. What if it doesn't work? But I'm so glad that I didn't trust my thoughts there and I actually decided to commit to hiring somebody. And lo and behold, it's taught me so much about getting in better shape and getting lean, getting jacked. This allowed me to then go through multiple phases of dieting and muscle building phases, getting my strength up to be able to deadlift 200 kilos, squat 140 kilos, and bench press over 100 kilos. I'm still only able to do about 102.5 kilos, but at 80 kilos body weight, I'm pretty happy with that. The bench press has never been my strong suit, and I don't know why. Maybe it's because my shoulders take over, or maybe that I've got more developed triceps than chest, but for whatever reason, I still struggle with the bench now. Even with 2 broken ribs, it's still pretty hard. And so ultimately, this allowed me to go from the skinny fat physique when I was 18 to really feeling in incredible shape by 22 to 24 years old. And as I've continued to get older, because now I'm 30, I really have what I would consider to be the physique that I'm really happy with. Even with some setbacks like a couple of rib breaks and also a big injury from playing rugby, I still feel incredibly confident with how I look now, which has allowed me to then hire a third coach, Dave, who I'm now working with. We're going for a rebuilding phase after another dieting phase, and I'm feeling pretty good. Reading about 3,000 calories to 3,200 calories, and I feel bloody awesome. And I get it, you're probably sat here thinking, that's all well and good, Jack, but you're a coach, you know what to do. And I understand that. And so here are some results that we've done with some of our clients over the last few years to showcase that it's not just me that's been able to achieve this, that it is possible for you and the general population too. For instance, here's one, Jack Hopkins, who was on the program. He lost 26 kilos working with us in 18 months. Ben was another guy who was on the program, joined feeling like he had no shape. He built a little bit of muscle mass, but he just really felt like he couldn't reveal it. And ultimately, he'd probably gone through the opposite direction of what I did. Was he went through a gaining phase first and then felt like he didn't know what to do to get lean with an incredibly busy job. And so we took him through a dieting phase and lost 16 kilos to reveal the shape that he was in by the end of the time working together. And then Michael as well, who was somebody who had never been in great shape. And it wasn't until his 50s where we really turned things around and got him visible abs for the first time, shape in t-shirts that he'd always wanted, and to look like he trained with the efforts that he put into the gym. All of these guys took much longer than what you're willing or recognizing to do. Most people, it's going to take 16 months to a year to go from skinny fat to jacked. And part of the reason is that you have to go through a dieting phase, gaining phase, and then another dieting phase to reveal that shape that you're after. And if you aren't quite sure what you should be doing first, here's a good guide. Figure out what your body fat percentage is using the Navy body fat test. If your body fat percentage is above 26%, you probably should do a dieting phase first to try and bring yourself back down towards a 10% body fat level. This gives you a nice platform and a nice metabolic condition to be able to add muscle mass relatively easy without storing it as body fat. If you're on the other side of the scale and your body fat's relatively low and you would consider yourself skinny fat, then for us it's most likely a good option to go through an initial gaining phase of about 16 to 20 weeks to build your metabolism up, build your appetite up, get you eating more food before we then go into that dieting phase to really reveal the hard work that you put in. Everybody is different, and this is why hiring a coach is the best move that you can make to building and maintaining a great physique. Activity is going to play a role in both of these cases. You want to be as active as you can. Now, I appreciate that not everyone's going to be able to do that with the stresses of life, your structure, your routines, your job. And so you typically still want to be looking between about 8,000 to 10,000 steps per day. If you can only manage 8,000 steps, it's probably worth adding in maybe an extra 20 minutes of cardio at the end of your training sessions, just to bump up that extra activity if you're able to make the time. But even still, a 45-minute strength session into 15 minutes of conditioning work can still be a really valuable way of pushing your physique development up a gear. Focus on trying to get a lot of protein in. I'd be aiming for 1.8 to 2.2 grams per kilogram of body weight, and really focus on trying to build your sleep routine to a good level. Sleep plays a major role in managing your hunger, improving your strength and ability to build and maintain muscle mass, and improve your neuromuscular function to push your strength higher. The stronger you are, the more likely you can lift to a level of fatigue that's going to stimulate muscle growth. But if you found this video useful, please give me a like, subscribe, and drop me a comment on what you found useful and what your takeaway is going to be so that you can go from skinny fat to jacked. Catch you guys in the next one.